Ho, ho, ho! Merry 4 days after Christmas. Yeah, this video's gonna age like eggnog at room temperature. A month ago, I asked you all for ideas for a Christmas game, preferably bad ideas, and to be honest, I ignored all of them. Yeah, that's great for community engagement. Now, for the record, I did read all your ideas, and I did appreciate all the comments, I just didn't implement them for two reasons. The first is some of them were actually really good ideas, and I was kind of looking for more, like, cringe, dumb ideas. The second reason is I'm still pretty new to game development, and some of your ideas are way too advanced for me to implement. And I definitely feel like that's a testament to how bad I am at game development as opposed to how advanced your ideas were. Also, to the person who commented that I look like Human Shrek, I'm not even gonna lie, that's really funny. Anyway, for this game, I really want to embody the spirit of Christmas. So, capitalism. That's right, I'm making a sweatshop for Santa. Let's get right into it.
So I started this off by making a little pixel art guy for the player in GIMP. As you can see, if you're new to this channel, I am absolutely terrible at art. I'm working on it, but yeah, it's not good. And then since the movement mechanics are going to be the same for this game as my previous game, I decided to just, yoink the player movement script. And there he goes. Now, this might not look great, but considering what the player movement looked like in my last game, I think this is a huge improvement. So using the tile map, I made a little sweatshop play area for our elf, and for some reason he was going back and forth through it, so I had to, tweak that a bit. And yeah, after I fixed the sprite order, everything was working perfectly. Mostly. So after I finally got the player working, I decided why not add some mechanics to the game. In my previous game, one of the main complaints was there just weren't enough mechanics to keep the game interesting, so to make this game more interesting, I added sleeping. Because what better way to make a game interesting than adding a sleeping mechanic? To do this, I actually wrote some code on my own rather than stealing it from the internet to toggle the elf between sleeping and awake states. As you can imagine, the implementation of that feature went incredibly smoothly.
Yeah, it took me like 2 hours to get the energy bar working and make it so the elf couldn't move while he was sleeping and that the sprite for the elf disappeared while he was sleeping. Not my proudest moment.
Once I had that working, I needed to have a feature so that Elf wouldn't be sleeping the entire game. And what better feature than the big man himself? I mean, come on, would this even be a Christmas game without Santa? I also made some art for items because my goal for this game is actually to have my players interact with items. I do mess around a decent bit on this channel, but my goal is eventually to create quality games, so I try to improve a little bit with each game. One of the reasons I make these silly games is I don't want to fall into the trap of trying to make my dream game and never making anything. Anyway, the reason I brought Santa into this game is to basically check to make sure the elf is not sleeping and punish the elf if he is sleeping. Basically, Santa in this game is that boss who is constantly on your back.
Or at least that's how I'm imagining a toxic boss. To be honest, I have not had a job in the past 3 years. The tech job market is pretty bad right now. Good thing indie game developers make a lot of money though. Right? Right?
Anyway, at random points in time, Santa will appear and check if the elf is sleeping. Now, if Santa does catch the elf sleeping, his happiness bar, which I'm calling the Christmas spirit meter, will go down. It also goes down as the elf does not deliver gifts. I haven't quite made the gifts part yet. I then added a game over screen where if you run out of energy or if Santa gets too fed up, the game ends, and therefore you ruined Christmas. Kind of like that one drunk uncle that has way too many brewskis at the Christmas dinner, which for the record, is the best uncle. Now, I did have some issues getting the game elements to actually stop working once the game was over, but I eventually figured it out. Emphasis on the word eventually. Once I got all that working, it was time to spawn the items on the conveyor belt, and yeah, I had no clue what I was doing, so I cheated, pretty much. But hey, as Bill Belichick once said, it's not cheating if you win. That being said, I don't really know if I'd count this game as a win. Yeah, even with ChatGPT, getting these items to go across the screen was a complete nightmare. I did get it to work though, eventually, and when it did, I was actually pretty proud of myself. There was the slight issue of generating infinite items, but I was able to get rid of that pretty quickly. Creating the script to have the items able to interact with the player really wasn't that difficult. It was really a lot of copy and paste of other scripts I've already written. Probably not the best coding practice to be doing all this copying and pasting, but it could be worse. So now that the player could collect a few items, I made the workbench so you could combine the items to make either a bear or a gift, and it didn't work. It just ate my items, so I had to fix that. Fortunately though, this was just one of those issues where I got a little too excited and forgot to write a line of code, which is unfortunately a little too common, but not so bad. I reused the sewing machine logic for the wrapping table logic, and boom, everything was working. Well, it was almost working. Now that the game was functioning properly, it was time to add the audio, and I was really excited for this.
Ho, ho, ho!
As you can see, I am quite the voice actor.
Look what you've done, you foolish elf! You've ruined Christmas!
Now it's at this point where I made the biggest mistake during the process of creating this game. To be honest, I genuinely came this close to rage quitting. Basically, when I was making my audio manager script, I thought the event system did not matter, so I deleted it. It turns out the event system actually makes your buttons functional. I didn't know this, so I deleted it and then I added my audio manager. And then when all of a sudden my play again button wasn't working, I assumed there was something wrong with my audio manager, so I ripped the entire thing out. Now you're probably thinking, no big deal, Patrick, you saved it, so once you realize it wasn't the audio manager, you could just put it back in. What idiot would delete 100 lines of code before even checking if they actually worked? A day later, I'm still getting mad talking about it. Now after ripping out my entire audio system only to realize it was actually Event Manager causing the problem, I added a new audio system in, and voila, the game worked. Those were 4 hours of my life I will never get back. At least now I know not to delete the Event Manager in the future. Even if it looks like it's not doing anything, it probably is. Anyway, let me show you the finished game.
If you're wondering where I got the music and all the sound effects that are not my voice, I downloaded them off of Pixabay. The gameplay loop basically consists of you collecting items to make toys and then trying to keep Santa as happy as possible while also not becoming completely exhausted. One thing I definitely improved on in this game as opposed to my previous games is the gameplay is a lot more balanced. Also, while I admit it is still very ugly, I think there is a lot more to look at. The game is on itch.io, I linked it below. If you do play it, my high score is 1558. I challenge you to beat that. Let me know in the comments what are some things that you think I can improve in this game. Who knows, maybe I'll make a follow-up Christmas in July video where I update some of this game's features. Also, let me know what you want to see from this channel next. I'm looking to be a lot more active in 2025. I genuinely appreciate all your feedback. Also, if you have any constructive criticism on this video, let me know and I'll try to improve my videos in the future.
Look what you've done, you foolish elf. You ruined Christmas.
Final note, I do know the game is pretty janky on itch.io. To be honest, I don't really know how to fix it, so if you do, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.